Hello, homeschoolers. How y'all doing? It's Uncle Larry checking in. Just got to the session today. I'm at this place called The Castle. I think I've told you about this place in previous episodes. One of Al Capone's old hideouts. And actually it does look like a castle. But what I wanted to say is thank you so much for buying the record and all the sweet kind words. I really wanted to put up a video just to say thank you for everyone and all the sweet comments. And it means a lot to me and all the guys that helped make the record. You know, I got Sticks McHugh, the drummer on this session, the guy that produced the record, and we were talking about yesterday how, you know, heartwarming it is, man. That all the reviews have been good and people seem to like the album. We're very happy. Hey, look, come and say hi. Bruce Bouton, legendary steel player. What time are you showing up at the session?
I'm showing up today at 9:30.
Get in there, Bruce.
Everything's already set up, you know, so I can come in.
We were here yesterday.
I can tune up and all this stuff. Who are we talking to?
I was just
today?
telling the homeschoolers that how, like, I haven't put up a video in a minute. I was just telling them how much I appreciate all the people buying the record and all the kind words. Have you bought the record yet?
I don't know how to buy the record. I called your producer yesterday, and I wanted to buy 10 vinyl copies, and he said I couldn't buy them. So at this point, you know, deal's off on that. But can I buy the digital version?
Yes, you can. Maybe I'll find a. I'm gonna try to make CDs. That's what I really want to do.
CDs would be great too.
I want to make some CDs. So if you guys can hang out, I've had a lot of people say they want CDs. LPs are out of the question, sadly, because that's what I wanted.
See, but I was there at the birth of all this. I was at the show at Third and Lindsay, which was absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you, man.
You know, it was
thank you.
Two of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Well, dude, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
hey, look,
I love the homeschoolers, man. You got, you know, what a great
sweethearts.
What a great gift to be able to have this wisdom for all these years.
Dude. Hey, Bruce, would you be kind enough to tell the kids about what it's like to be a steel player in this crazy world?
In this crazy world,
Yeah.
it's a matter of trying to find a sonic space to fit in and get in between all the guitar players and the keyboard players that all have their crazy sounds, because it's
Right.
It's been a exponential growth in sonic.
Well, look at what a man has to do these days to be a steel player. Let me show these kids this. I'm on the wrong.
I've got my delays, which I use those two delays. It's the line 6, which actually I like, one of their old vintage delays, and then I've got my Voss. I've got the Eventide, which I rarely use, but every once in a while I use it, and I've got the Pog, which I'll use just to put some high frequencies, and I actually got a sound from Young Tom one day that I used on a record the other day that sounded great, pad sound. Analog Man EQ, but I've got the XTS EQ on my other board. It's been modified, which this is like having another amp when things, you know.
Let me shut the phone off, and I'm going to turn it around so I can hold it the right way, and I'm going to edit this video good because I want to ask you a few more questions, okay?
Sure.
All right. Now I've got the camera turned around so I can actually hold it right. Okay, so Bruce, dude, if you guys Google Bruce Bouton, Bouton, how many records this dude has played on and how many tours you've done. You started in L.A., am I wrong?
No, I started in Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
All right. Here in 1978.
78.
I'm old.
You played with Ricky Skaggs.
That was my big break, man.
Yeah, man.
I met a guitar player named Ray Flack, who was this crazy English guitar player, played his ass off, and he got me an audition with Ricky and played on my first record with Ricky Skaggs in 1980.
I will never forget, on a personal level, you were one of the few people on my very short list of people that I would say really helped me in my early session days. Key recommendations, I'll never forget it, dude.
Oh, man.
You told a lot of people about me, and you would always vouch for me, and those are the kind of things a musician never forgets. The cats that open the door for him.
Or you don't forget stories. I got to tell this story on you, man. I'll never forget.
We're doing a little. Come on in here, Sticks. Come on. We got Sticks McHugh here too. legendary drummer, guy that produced
Morning.
the Plexi Soul album.
Yeah, big producer,
Big shot smarty pants.
big producer. But I remember I hired you a long time ago, probably 2000 or something, to play on a showcase, and the artist, there were a couple record label people, and the label people weren't interested in the artist, but they went, "Who's the guitar player?" And I said, "Well," they said, "Man, that guy's a star."
Yeah, but what about my artist?
And I said, and I remember asking you, I said, "Hey man, can you sing?" And you looked at me and you said, "Man, if I could sing, I'd be a freaking star." I'll never forget that.
Oh Lord. Okay, so dude. Okay, my whole feeling about the arc of the career of a guitar player, any lifelong guitar player, they go through several phases, and one of the phases that any real guitar player goes through is they feel like they need to learn how to play pedal steel, right?
Yeah.
What is the age that usually happens to most guitar players? It happened to me at about 35, 36.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh yeah, I got to learn how to play steel.
You and Greenberg and
Greenberg. All
I've
these
heard
guys.
your steel playing though. It was good.
You know, I gave up on it. I sold the thing in total frustration. But show them how it works.
It's you know, you got a good
Why do you have to have two necks, for God's sakes?
Well,
I mean, isn't one hard enough?
Yeah, but I don't play the back neck as much as I should, but the back neck is the Western swing neck. I'm sorry, you can't really hear my amp because it's in another room, but
Yeah.
this is all the way to a 6 chord all the way across.
The C6 neck.
Yeah.
And then all the money is right here, right?
The money's here. This is the money
Yeah,
neck.
The E9 neck. From low to high.
This
B, D.
Yeah, it's 5, flat
E, D,
7,
E.
so it's E, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, B,
E,
G sharp, E flat,
E flat.
and then a F sharp here.
Right.
And so you don't ever have, have an open chord, but you hit your 2 pedals and all of a sudden you go to your 4 chord and then
Right.
5 chord,
Right.
Yeah. And it's just,
So the pedals on the. There's a funny word that most steel players hate called copedance.
oh yeah, I don't know
It's,
where that
it's,
word
it's
came from.
that's the word that all steel players hate. But copedance means the way you set up your pedals, because you can
Right.
have these pedals do different things.
Right.
So there's the Jimmy Day setup. And
Right,
there's
Jimmy Day would be over here, but I don't do that. Tommy White does that, but Paul Franklin and I and Dan Dugmore and I'm
Yeah.
Sonny Garish. I mean everybody, Scotty Sanders, all the guys, Russ Paul. We all set these pedals up.
Right, that's how I did mine too. So if you click those 2 pedals down, you go from your 1 to your 4 chord, basically,
Right. You
right?
hit both of them, or your 6 minor if you hit that one, or you got a 2 minor in there and you hit that, and you got a 2 minor going. And
Right, that's what I always remember. Like the 2 minor is those 2 pedals, and these are all for the C6 neck.
These are all C6 on this guitar. Now, some guys, I've got another guitar where this works the E9, but this is an old Emmons guitar. This was the first guitar. This is what I cut Highway 40 Blues on. Back
Never
in
heard it.
1980. Well, it became the studio joke for a long time. But it was,
Dude, legendary. You got the Evo
I
Verb.
got the Ebo Verb, and I have a lot of amps, but I've settled on this thing. I pulled this out of the basement. My friend Delana Scott built this. It's a 3rd power, but it's just a sweet sounding amp.
Oh, it sure sounds good, man. We played all day yesterday, and I was marveling at Bruce's tones. Okay, so yeah, you'd think, why does a steel player have to have all this crazy gear over here? But what's the answer? In the modern day.
Music, man. I mean, it's just you're
man.
sitting there and you're making music, and you've got to sit there and just figure out what you're doing and what your role is. And I've learned a lot of this from Tom just by listening. But I mean, you listen, man. Yesterday we had 3 amazing guitar players and an amazing keyboard player in there. So constantly you're sitting there. How can I find a sound that gets me that matters? And
Right.
sometimes it's just a few notes,
That's it.
and
That's it.
so I don't know.
We had Mark Hill, amazing bass player. That's
ridiculous.
yesterday, and we had Rob McNally over here yesterday, and I'm over here.
I toured with Mark for 5 years with Reba, and
With Mark Hill, yeah.
and I don't think I ever heard him make a mistake.
Oh, he's a badass, man.
It's like,
He's a bad. We got Gordon Mote on this session.
Oh,
The homeschoolers know about Gordon because I've interviewed him a time or two. Chris McHugh on the drums. Okay, so dude, my favorite question to ask regarding music. I've asked all my buddies, what have you been thinking about lately regarding it's a hot topic in the brain regarding music?
just, where it's going, where it's, just trying to play something that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, at 67 years old, I'm still trying to figure out how to play in tune and how to get out of the way. I mean, minimize my, it's always been a thing, especially doing sessions, playing live's a different deal, but doing sessions, you're always sitting there trying to find your place in the mix and find,
You feel like pedal steel is a dying art?
Yes and no. I mean, there's some new guys that are playing. It's just such an expensive instrument to get into.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of like golf?
Probably so.
Yeah.
I don't play golf.
I never thought of pedal steel as expensive, really. I mean, you could buy a nice guitar for $1,200, right?
No.
No?
Probably a few grand.
Okay, all right.
But then it's a learning curve. I mean,
It's such a learning curve.
I almost quit. I wanted to be Clarence White on guitar, and I hated steel. And then I've had a universe moment where I had an accident, cut my fingers.
Right.
I couldn't play guitar, but I could hold a steel bar for 2
Right.
months, and I was able to get over the hump.
Right.
It's
Hey,
a
this
bastard
is Lance. He runs the Pro Tools.
That's right.
He's a fixture out here at the castle. Yeah, sweet Lance. Lance was the name of my first pet growing up. We had a German Shepherd. Okay, so here's what I've noticed with some younger steel players. The key to playing steel guitar like a real professional is lots of laying out, right?
Right.
And man, I've been on dates. There are some young guys that are really good, but I've been on some dates with some younger guys that don't get the concept and they play all the way through the track.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on sessions with like Scotty Sanders, like guys like real like veteran, man, and he'll just sit there the whole song, not play a note, and then the bridge or something comes in. Right at the end of the bridge, he'll play one lick and then put the thing back down. Right?
No, I love Scotty.
It's like you don't need much, like with all this stuff, not just steel, but guitar as well. I mean, like a little goes a long way, and you got to use it tastefully, right?
That's my biggest battle. I mean, that's always been my battle. It's like you don't have to play every change. You don't have to play, and it's...
Why do you think, this is a dumb question, but it's kind of serious here. I mean, why do you think the volume pedal is such a crucial part of steel guitar?
Sustain and attack.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to hear your picks. You don't want to always hear it, because sometimes you're playing a steel, it's like a keyboard, in the sense that you want to come in and you still want it to be present immediately, but you want it to be in there, and then you hit it and you hit that volume pedal and you want it to stay at that volume.
Right.
And the only way it would stay at that volume is if you hit it at the top of the pedal and work it down.
Well, it has a ton of sustain.
Yeah.
And Russ Paul always said it's the best tone generator.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Russ told, Russ, my dear friend Russ.
Yeah.
A totally different steel player.
Yeah. Totally different.
Than Paul Franklin.
Yeah.
Dan Dugmore.
Dan Dugmore,
it's such a great circle in this town because there's so many of them that are so great.
So great. Yeah. I mean, it's I love to watch, and I just love to play with all you guys. Bruce, you are a fine player, and I've always thought you get amazing tone, which is the key, man.
To me, it is. Yeah.
That's the key, dude. That is the key.
But Paul, Eric Johnson, one time I read an interview with him, and he was talking about tone, whatever he thinks, but he said, I learned how to get my tone from steel players because I was taught by Buddy Charlton, to not pick down on the string, but you come up under the string a little bit.
Really? Show the homeschoolers.
Yeah, you just come up under it, and that's always been a tone thing for me, and just really,
What's the wrong way?
Well, I mean, you see steel players doing that, you see steel players doing that and everything, and everybody doesn't, and they all sit back here and all that stuff. But it's like, Buddy Charlton had the most beautiful tone ever. The guy used to play for Ernest Tubb.
Right.
And he just said, man, if you don't get that thumb around, you're never going to have good tone.
That's fascinating.
And
that's probably what I was doing wrong. I play with my fingers.
Well, so does Russ.
Yeah.
Well, he used a thumb pick, but he played with his finger. No, man, nothing's wrong. I mean, and you got great tone. I mean, you have it. If you're a serious player, you're gonna work on the three. I always used to call them the 3 T's, but it was tuning, tone, and timing.
Yeah.
And just even at my age now, I'm doing something that I used to do when I was young, and I started doing it again, and it's made a huge difference. I'll take a metronome and practice things really slow, just relentless, you know. And over the pandemic, I started. This finger became more. What's the word? Facile, whatever. I just.
It became more what?
No, I think I made that word up. I got more, you know, this, I used to always pick with just these, you know, I did everything, and I've started, you know, this finger is, you know.
Come alive?
Practice.
Yeah, man.
Practice, man. Yeah. And something we don't, you know, I mean, I noticed that about all my friends. I have so many friends now that are, you know, they're in their 70s, and they're still practicing. You know, Paul McCartney told me never to drop names, but you know, Dean Blob, I put him on here next week. But Dean Parks, man, I was talking to him the other day, you know, and I know you know Dean.
Yeah, I love
you
Dean.
know, he loves you too, and it's. So what you doing, man? He said, man, I'm playing woodwinds again. I'm practicing. I'm going out and I'm doing a little chamber thing with some of my friends, and I'm practicing steel guitar. And
he is such a great musician. My God.
You never stop practicing, man.
No, dude. The key is just finding inspiration, right?
Well, that's the key. It's very hard right now. Yeah. I will say that modern country music is not.
You mean it sucks? Oh, y'all say it. No,
it's just the songs and the, you know.
Yeah, it's a kind of it's a bit of a standstill right now. It needs to. I do think that things are getting a little better as far as like people are started getting back to a little more like rootsy, acousticy, you know.
Yesterday was fun.
Yeah, yesterday.
That Australian guy, what was his name? Brad Cox.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, he was.
That was fun.
You know, he's kind of a Jason Isbell kind of folky guy, and it was a melodies and verses had different chords than the choruses. And,
Yeah. You know. What's a man eat on a session these days? A steel player, man.
If I'm not eating chips and M&Ms and drinking coffee, I try to eat an apple. You know, it's. You know how it is, man. Oh, yeah. What we had a good lunch yesterday.
We had a good lunch
yesterday. Had pizza last night, so.
Well, you look through this window here into the Mission Control. I don't know if you guys can see on there because of the glare. But we got a drummer, we got a bass player, we got producer Brandon Hood holding that acoustic. Look at Brandon. Brandon is a doll. We love him. There's Marky Hill. There's Drew Bowman. Great engineer. Good crew, right?
Awesome crew, man.
Awesome crew.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, me too, man.
And I appreciate what you do, Tom.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Inspired so many people.
Thank you, dude.
And you play your ass off.
All right, let's leave the homeschoolers alone. Thanks, Bruce, for being on,
so
buddy.
much.
Love you, buddy.
What an honor.